Hello and welcome to the Maths Jedi once again. This is another episode in my A-level series. Today we're looking at algebraic fractions again, but we're going to be adding subtracting them today. So last time we were looking at multiplying and dividing. Today we're looking at adding and subtracting. So if you're new to the channel, please do leave a like, and if you'd like to look back at the previous work, it's available on my channel on the playlist. So just go back and have a look at multiplying and dividing before you start working your way through this, because again we'll go through some of those common things at the beginning of this lesson, and hopefully as we go through to the end you can start to look at questions that you can do on your own. So just a reminder, this is just reminding you really about adding, subtracting algebraic fractions. We did look at this last time, but just a reminder again about how these work. When you're looking at real numbers, of course, you're constantly trying to work through a lowest common denominator. So with fractions and algebraic fractions, you're doing exactly the same thing. So looking for a lowest common denominator of this particular example, obviously would be x squared. And so once you understand your lowest common denominator is x squared, you're going to write everything with that lowest common denominator in mind. So in terms of what you've done to the first fraction to get to there, I've done nothing. So you don't do anything to the top part of that first fraction. But in terms of what you've done to the bottom part of this fraction to get to here, I've multiplied by x. So I have to multiply my numerator also by x. I did look at this example last time, but again, looking at a lowest common denominator here would be 3xy. And again, you're going to multiply through accordingly to see where you're getting to. So again, what have I done to my denominator here to get to this? I've multiplied it by y. So what do I do to the top bit? I multiply it by y. What do I do to get to there? I multiply it by 3x. So what do I do to the top bit? I multiply it by 3x. In terms of working your way through a fraction example such as this, it's useful to start factorising first. So you can see them taking out a linear factor here, x plus 3, and then you can see quite quickly what the lowest common denominator will be. You just got to double everything on the left hand side. So you can see them working their way through that here, doubling on the top bottom and doubling on the top to give you a common denominator and then a straightforward algebraic fraction solution. We saw this example last time as well, but just a reminder about what we do. So if you've got a whole number here, that's effectively 3 over 1, you can multiply everything on top and bottom here by x squared plus 5. That's what they're doing here, working their way through by multiplying out on the top and then taking together the like terms, making sure that you've got an understanding about how you work with negative numbers. That's noted here in the blue. So you can see this subtraction here works across the piece. Leaving you with quite a complicated solution, but nevertheless an algebraic fraction. What I'd like to do is to go through some questions from the book. So this is exercise 1C now, following on from the last lesson we looked at 1B. This is on page number 8 in the A-level textbook, but it's a second year book, so please be aware that that's where you need to be. I'm going to look at question 7, but the rest of these questions I definitely would suggest you need to spend a good deal of time doing, so making your way through the rest of these questions is essential. In terms of question 7, you can see it's an exam question, so let me just pull up my pen and we can have a look at how these particular questions work. The key thing here is to recognise when you've got common denominators. I'm just going to pull up the notepad here to make sure that we've got something to write on. So question 7, we're looking at these things. So again, looking at this, first of all, I would like to factorise the bottom of this. So if I factorise x squared minus 2x minus 8, that is no doubt going to help me. So I'm looking for factors of 8. So these two would work. So minus 4 plus 2, that works quite quickly. So we're left with an expression that looks a little bit like this. Now I'm looking for a lowest common denominator. Effectively the denominator here is 1. So I'm looking for a lowest common denominator. Of course it's going to be x minus 4, x plus 2. You can see it's a multiple here. So that would be my lowest common denominator. and then working your way through. What have I done to the denominator here to get to here? I've multiplied by x minus 4, x plus 2. So I'm going to do the same thing on the top. What have I done to the bottom of this to get to here? I've multiplied it by x minus 4. So I'm going to multiply it by x minus 4 on the top. And again, the 36 can stay as it is because the denominator is the same. There's a whole deal of manipulation I'm going to do now, so I need some room. Now it just leaves me to be multiplying things out, so I'm going to multiply things on the top first of all. We'll leave the bottom alone for now. I'll leave the bottom as factorised form, just because I think there might be some cross cancellation a little bit later on. Need more room. You can see I'm going to have a cubic expression on the top. I'm just going to write the linear factors the other way around because that's what the question requires. And you can see very quickly we get to the form that the question demands. So the first part is done. Notice also I just would like to point out in the last video I talked about how values can be undefined. So notice in the question they're saying that x can't be minus 2 and x can't be 4, because if x was minus 2 and x was 4, then obviously we'd be dividing by 0 and that would give us an undefined value. So you can see these are the sort of subtext I was talking about in the last lesson, that they will just put some disclaimers down to make sure that you're not dividing through by 0. So I'll trash my annotations real quick and then look at the last part. I need to see the question, so I'm just going to get rid of this momentarily. And you can see they're saying, using algebraic long division or otherwise, further show that g of x equals x squared minus 4x plus 6 over x minus 4. So this is going into some of the polynomial manipulation that you did at AS level. So let's pull up my sheet once again. And obviously they didn't get to do part B for nothing. So we've got a manipulation to do, the algebraic long division we need to do. And I'm going to be multiplying out the factor underneath just so that I can do my algebraic long division. So first of all, just a reminder what we do x squared into x cubed. It's going to be x times, so it's going to give you x cubed minus 2x squared minus 8x. So that's what we get if we multiply all of this by x. So to find my remainder, I need to subtract. So x cubed take away x cubed is 0. Minus 2x squared minus 2x squared is 0. Minus 2x minus 8x, that's minus 2x plus 8x, that's 6x. And then I've got this plus 12, which carries on through. So I'd like to pause here and show you what's going on. So let's have a little look at some other things just to give yourself a reminder about what's happening here. So let's have a look at this number here. Now this is a top-heavy fraction, and we'd like to write that as a mixed number. So 5 goes into 24, it goes in 4 times, and then it has 4 remainder. So 4 and 4/5 is another version of this. So it's 4 and 4/5. So what's happening here is a very similar thing. You've got this is effectively the 24 here, and this is 5, so this is like 24 and this is the 5, so this is top heavy. And you've got it going in so many times. So if we were going to represent this as a long division problem, 5 goes into 24 4 times, 4 5s is 20, and then subtract to find the remainder, so it's 4 remainder. So it goes in 4 times, with this much remainder over that. So you can see 4 and 4/5. So 4 and 4/5. So in a similar way, we can write that this is equal to x plus the remainder, 6x plus 12, over this bit, the x squared minus 2x minus 8. Now these both factorise, we know, so we can factorise the top. We know what the factorised form is on the bottom. And you can see you've got some cross cancellation. And that leaves me with this form. And again, I'd like to write this as a single fraction. So if I multiply everything by x minus 4, I get the form that's required. Relatively straightforward. Okay, that's the only question I'd like to do from this exercise because the rest is there for you to practice. I really would like you to practice the rest and go through it as much as possible, so I'll leave those for you to do at home in your own time. Thank you very much for watching for today. That's the end of today's lesson. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.